What's up everyone, Manny from Motomillion. In this video today we have something very special, it's hard to miss. If you could tell how excited I am because we just finished this maybe an hour ago and I couldn't wait to show it to you guys, because it ended up being an amazing project that we're so proud of, and I just can't take my eyes off of it. And if you follow our R1M series, we have our R1M over here. We're taking it step by step and doing all the upgrades on this R1M. But for some special projects that are for customers of ours, we do grab a bike and work on it straight. And I actually really like it because, you know, this bike took 7 days to complete. We took the bike completely apart, put everything together, step by step, and it was a 7-day process, but it's a lot quicker. It might not look like it, but there's a lot of things changed on the bike. You know, I'm just lost for words when I take a look at this thing, because it's no secret that I love Ducatis, but it's not just my love for Ducatis, I love all bikes. But in terms of beauty, I know you guys are gonna comment on this because there's a lot of Yamaha fans out there. You know, when you talk about a beautiful bike, you never say a Yamaha, you know, always a Ducati will pop into your mind because, you know, that's the one with the most design. It's Italian. Even other Italian bikes don't look as good. Maybe the MV Agustas, but let's not go there because they're not the best riding bikes. And now we're gonna get comments about MV Agusta lovers, but take a look at this thing. This thing is just beautiful. I could stare at it for days, and it is so new that, look, these Rizoma stealth mirrors that we got, I want to peel these sticker off of it because we haven't even peeled these things off. Let's start off with the front of this bike. If you take a look at the front over here, I think I thought about this earlier. The only stock part that's in the front end of this bike is the dash and the ignition switch. Everything else was changed. So we have our new upper triple, we have our handlebars, and I love these things because these are actually wider than stock. It makes it a lot more enjoyable just to counter steer and get that bike to lean in. We have our Oldens forks, and if you come over here, we have our MotoGP Master Cylinder. That's by Brembo. I forgot the exact model name, but this is the one that they use on MotoGP. And if you ever watch Valentino Rossi ride an R1, not a MotoGP bike, it always has this master cylinder on it. And we wanted to keep this themed to a GP bike. I know it's not a GP bike, and the GP bikes are not based on an R1, but it is the 60th GP anniversary. That's why we use the MotoGP master cylinder, and we use the TWM span adjuster. And what this does is, when you're riding and you want to dial out some brake fade, all you do is like this with your thumb, and if you take a look, it adjusts the span of the brake lever. Again, I'm not going to stop mentioning Valentino Rossi, but there's a very cool video out there of him riding, and you could see him using that span adjuster right before getting into a turn to dial out somewhat that brake fade that he's getting. Next are these buttons, our MotoGP buttons on this bike. And they have every single function that you want off a street bike. We'll have a video of this, of me showing you guys how these buttons work, because we get that requested quite a bit. But basically, if you hold the mode button on this side, you go into your menu and you hold the mode again to get out. And on this side, this mode button will run you through your power modes, your traction control and engine braking and wheelie control and all that stuff. And if you look at this master, we're running our stall bus bleeder valves. We're running our Rizoma brake reservoir on this bike. To be able to run the brake lights, we have to run a brake light switch off of the master cylinder. So this is what you see over here. It's a pressure sensor. It's a banjo bolt that's wired in so that we could have our brake lights. As I mentioned, this is a street bike. And this upper triple bolt, this is from TWM. It's not finished yet. As you can see, there's some threads showing because the bolt that you would use with this upper triple is a lot thinner, but it's not a pretty bolt. We're going to put a cover on here, so it'll be finished then. Like I said, we just finished this bike an hour ago, and there's some details that we're going to go through. But I want to point something out. This bike almost has no black plastic pieces left on it. So these covers over here, for example, these are all carbon. And if you take a look, for some of you guys who already caught it, this top tank piece, this is carbon fiber, and it was painted to match the 60th anniversary theme, so that we left all the black parts that were plastic in carbon fiber and painted the rest to match the 60th anniversary theme. And this has been a logistical mission because we purchased this bike in Ohio, brand new off the dealership.
All right, so I'm at Stadium Motorcycles, about to pick up the Motomillion 60th Anniversary Yamaha R1. And it's beautiful. It is gorgeous. This is this motorcycle in raw form. Just wait till our good buddy Miami Manny puts all his amazing parts on this machine.
While it was in Ohio, we took advantage of that and the bike went to King David.
The reason why I'm confident in King David's work, here's an example of something that he did. This is an 60th anniversary edition Yamaha R1, purchased by our good friend Miami Manny at Motomillion. This is carbon fiber. Yep, unreal. Unreal.
Just take your time.
Unreal.
We sent out some of the parts like the belly pan to get painted and our tailpiece, the rear seat cover. Again, if you take a look, it suits the 60th anniversary theme. And again, on here, what we did was we kept the carbon lines. Which looks beautiful. It just totally matches the look of the bike. And continuing on with the carbon, we have a rear fender piece that was also black plastic. And underneath here, we're gonna be doing this on our R1M series. A little spoiler, this whole piece was a big plastic piece that we changed it over to carbon. It really, really looks great on that rear subframe. We didn't go with a rear carbon subframe because, you know, you're saving a pound of weight, but this is magnesium and actually doesn't look too bad, especially with the swing arm showing. And while you're here, you're gonna realize that we put an Öhlins TTX shock on there. But in the front, if you zoom in, we have our Brembo GP4 RX calipers with our Fentubo carbon fiber brake lines. We have our Lightech front axle slider. While you're here, again, I don't know if you guys picked it up or not, this bike comes with gold wheels, and it was kind of the stand-up piece with the 60th anniversary when you get from the dealer. We wanted to change the wheels because the wheels are pretty heavy. What do? We grabbed a set of BST wheels, we got them painted with the gold, but we left the outside carbon just to show some of that carbon wheel, and I think it ended up being super nice. And of course, we're running our T-drive rotors in the front, which gives us the ultimate braking setup for the street. We have our DH83 radiator and oil cooler guards, and you can peek through. This is our full 6 carbon fiber belly pan. If you zoom into this Yamaha was left unpainted, so this was masked to show the carbon fiber through it. But this whole thing is carbon, but we didn't want to go over the top, leave a lot of carbon on the bike. So this was painted to match the bike. And if you look at some of the old Yamaha GP bikes that raced in the 70s, they always had the yellow number plate here. This bike doesn't come with the belly pan. I guess Yamaha didn't put this yellow piece here, but we put the yellow piece over here. And there's some red accents on the bike too to match this 60th anniversary theme. We have our TWM lever guard. It's a brake lever guard. We always get questions, why is it not on the clutch side? The purpose of this brake lever guard is to prevent accidental impact to a brake lever, which will make your bike go on an endo, and you don't want to do that. You see, it blocks if you're going through traffic. It's not meant for that, obviously. It's meant for the track so that you don't hit another rider and apply your brakes. That's why you don't run it on the clutch side. I know it's not symmetrical, but it kind of looks silly, especially if you know what it's for. If you peek through here, this is a piece that doesn't get seen, but we have the Öhlins steering damper installed on it. This bike comes with an electronic steering damper. The kit that we have by Öhlins, that's on our website, it comes with the plug. That plug removes that error that you would get on the dash from having that electronic steering damper removed. Another cool touch that we did for a street bike is we have our DRL to turn signal wiring harness installed on this. So if I apply the turn signals, you're gonna see that our daytime running lights turn into the turn signals, which is really cool. So that's one really cool touch to it that I really like. And then the front here, again, look, carbon fiber that was exposed. This bike comes with a red front fender. We did a little bit of a spin-off. We left the carbon in the front, but painted the sides red with a nice pinstriping on it. We do get questions about this ring here. What is it that it's on the fork leg? So for the track riders, when you set your suspension to make sure that you're not bottoming out, this is what comes on the Öhlins forks. And some people would just put a simple zip tie there if they don't have a fork that comes with it. Basically, this is like an indicator that when you bottom out the fork, this would be all the way in the bottom or where it stops, and that's why it's there. And if you take a look from this side, you see that we did some red touches. Our oil filler cap by TWM, that is in red. And if you zoom in, for the sake of subtlety, we changed the engine cover bolts to these Pro-Type black titanium bolts that I think it takes a little away from having all the silver bolts around. Yeah, I know the bike has some silver bolts like these ones. These are quarter turn bolts that we cannot replace. And we don't want to replace. It's really cool because it's a lot easier to get these fairings off. But we did that to the engine cover bolts. And another piece that I really like on this bike, sometimes too much carbon fiber might be overwhelming, but these frame covers that we installed on it, it just adds a little bit of carbon peeking through the fairings and also on this whole side. And if you are looking at the side, you might be wondering where's the reservoir. So we did the Gale Speed rear master cylinder, which deletes the rear reservoir. That makes this side of the bike look a lot cleaner. The reservoir would be usually mounted over here. Now it's not there and it's integrated into the rear master cylinder. We're running our Lightech rear sets. These are the Lightech track system rear sets. But if you, again, for some of you guys or keen viewers that notice some of these subtle differences, it usually comes with silver pieces right here that we changed to red, and it does not come with carbon heel guards. It comes with aluminum heel guards that we changed into carbon heel guards to match with the theme of the bike. And as you might have seen on our R1M series, we have our World Superbike exhaust on this bike as well. And some of you guys are going to ask, how come we didn't run this belly pan on the R1M, but we ran the one that came with the World Superbike exhaust? So that belly pan that's on the R1M, it's meant for the R1M. The side panels are different, not in shape, but the bottom parts are a little bit different that we can't run that belly pan. But luckily, the full 6-piece actually fits this exhaust on this application because this belly pan is specific to the R1, because again, this belly pan won't fit an R1M because of those differences in fairings. But this exhaust really completes it, and we get this question quite a bit because people look at the World Superbike series and they're like, oh, the can is shorter on the World Superbike series. Guys, don't forget, World Superbike series has different classes, and this bike is still running the stock radiator and the stock oil pan. This is the exhaust that they make for the World Superbike in the Super Stock series. This is the Super Stock exhaust for the World Superbike series, to be clear. And if you want this, it's available through us. You just have to send us an email. We're not allowed to list it on the website, but we could get it for you, and we do have some of them in stock as of this video. In the back, we have our NRC tail tidy kit that we run on almost all the bikes. And with our daytime running light mod that we do, I want to show you that the turn signal rate is the DOT rate. It's not hyper flashing. So it's all within the legality of the federal government. And since we changed the wheels, we did our 520 conversion kit. What's different from our R1M, you'll notice, is the rear sprocket that we're running on it. It has a super light steel rear sprocket with our black gold chain. We didn't want to run a gold chain because I think it would have clashed with these beautifully painted wheels. And for the rear chain adjusters, we have the TWM World Superbike chain adjusters on this bike. Again, a cool carbon piece that we have. This is the electronic cover by Full 6. This was a big lump of plastic here. Now it's replaced by the carbon piece. And on the other side, we have our, peeking through here, we have our light and rear rotor, and we're running our underslung setup because it is a part of that complete Brembo package that we offer to you guys. It comes with everything. So we get questions about these underslung caliper setups. You do need a brake line. And we don't sell them just by themselves. You have to get the complete kit. We might offer them in the future just because the availability is so low that most of the people who want them as a complete kit, and we don't want to separate them. But if you swing around over here, this is what I love. There's so many subtle touches that I forget even about them when I look at it. But if you zoom in over here, we have our ghillie stooling sprocket cover, which is beautiful because it's such a nicely machined piece and it has such a nice design. And again, on this side, we have our pro-type bolts that are replacing these engine cover bolts. And let me show you something. This bike still has 1 mile on it. We just took it for a quick spin up and down the road just to make sure everything is working as it should. It has 1 mile. We are going to be taking this bike to the dyno, and we're going to have a video for you guys because it's going to be this bike and our R1M that goes on the dyno. So you guys will finally see the power figures, so will I, of the R1M and what it's putting down. And also you guys will see what an R1 is doing because the motors are the same and the tune is basically the same. So we'll get a good comparison between them. And speaking of exhaust, I know you guys want to hear this thing. Let's turn this on. I'm going to let it warm up before we give it some revs. They do sound extremely alike because they're running the same engine, the same exhaust setup. And before I forget, an unseen piece under this gas tank is the spring filter F1 filter. Both bikes are running the same filters on them. So let's fire this up. So let me tell you guys are saying this exhaust is quiet. This, even on idle, it's not quiet. And with a little bit of revs, it pops like crazy. I'm not going to rev it too much. The bike's still brand new and we do want to do our braking on it, but overall, this is how it sounds like. Can't get enough of the sound of these R1s. It's crazy, you know. I got a lot of comments about calling it the Ducati of Japan. It's not just the sound that it has, because Ducatis have a beautiful sound, but these bikes actually ride different than everything else that's out there. They're so smooth. They have such a character. That's why I call it the Ducati of Japan. Let me clear that out with you guys again. It was a compliment, and it's a great compliment. But overall, guys, this is the 60th anniversary, and let me tell you this. You guys are going to go away after this video, but at least I get to keep this bike for a little while until we tune it and we get it to its customer. But it's just a beautiful, beautiful bike. Another thing that I really like that I can't wait to do on our R1M is this complete front end setup that we have, because when you're riding, this is all you see, all this little carbon poking out and everything that's changed over here. And I have a special guest, so before I let you guys go, I did mention you guys about my Vespa that I have, and some of you commented and saying that, hey, show us the Vespa. So let me pull that beautiful thing in. So this is the Vespa that I was talking about. As I mentioned in the beginning of this video, I love motorcycles, you know. Cars aside, motorcycles hold a very special place in my heart, and I'm not bound to one type of bike or one brand, but this is my Vespa. I got it pretty recently. I do like the runarounds that are running errands and stuff. It has an Akrapovic exhaust. Obviously, I didn't keep anything stock, and I'm not going to keep my Vespa stock. It sounds pretty good too. I could turn it on so you guys hear it. It sounds really good for a Vespa, actually. The things I've changed on it are these grips. We have our low drag levers on it, Rizoma mirrors, carbon fiber pieces here and there. And if you come take a look at this side, don't mind the front fender. We were test fitting stuff and we have a new fender that's going to go on. It's just such a big job to change a fender on a Vespa. You got to drop the whole steering column. I just haven't gotten around to it, but we have an Olin shock, and take a look at this. It has a Brembo M4 caliper, and This was pretty tricky because they do make a bracket, but it's not for this caliper. We have to adjust it. And if you come take a look at the brake line over there, how close it is to the wheel. But obviously we double checked everything and it's not touching. It even has some prototype bolts. And even in the back, we have an Öhlins rear shock. I'm not done with this bike. We have some different tail lights and we have a seat cover that matches these pieces. But I just want to show you guys my Vespa because I do get a kick out of it. And other than riding these amazing bikes, it is really cool to just jump on a Vespa and just go around town. You know, you could chit chat with your friend that's next to you without having to have the Senna on. And they're a lot of fun. But anyhow, guys, thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions or comments, leave them down below. As you can see, I do read your comments. So positive, negative, anything you want to comment on, go ahead. I read them. I don't take offense to anything that you guys say, and please don't take offense to any of our replies to you guys because we try to be as informative and friendly as possible. And if you like the video, please give it a thumbs up. Until next time, guys, have a great one.